name is Jamie Jess. I work at the Council of European Municipalities and Regions, which is based in Brussels, and we federate 60 associations of national representatives of local governments. I'm not sure what the equivalent would be here in North America, but we have a similar sister organization in Africa, UCLG Africa, and we also have a global organization based in Barcelona, United Cities and Local Governments, and we're very lucky to have Ms. Emilia Saiz, the Secretary General of UCLG, joining us this morning. So thank you, Emilia. Without further ado, Dr. Shonin Kalender, Chair, I'd like to give you the word to open our session, get us energized.
Yeah, thank you. So I get Yes, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dear attendants, and I think I might also say dear colleagues, because I think most of you are in one way or the other representative of your community, maybe a mayor, maybe just engaged in NGO or as a politician, local politician. So, dear all, I'm happy to welcome you all to this parallel session in cooperation between Council of European Municipalities and Regions, CEMR, the United Cities and Local Governments, UCLG Africa, and Standing Committee for the Euro-Mediterranean Partnership, Local and Regional Authorities, COPPEM. Today I have the very honor to open this session as the newly elected chair of the CEMR, Standing Committee for Equality. And I'm kind of excited about it. Yay! Thank you. Together, of course, with my vice chair, Silvia Baraldi from Italy. Nice to have you here too. I'm from Germany, and I'm very proud of the fact that as a local politician, I have the opportunity, together with others, to have an impact on local politics in terms of gender equality. Not only in my hometown, Mannheim, in Germany, but also all over Europe. And I'm so happy to be here today to share this experience with you. In Europe, CEMR is notable for championing gender equality in local and regional life for 4 decades now. This year marks the 40th anniversary of the first conference of local elected women organized in CEMR in Pisa, Italy in 1983. And we have come a quite way since then. The European Charter for Equality of Women and Men in Local Life was drawn up by the CEMR in 2006. And I remember the positively excited discussions in my hometown, Mannheim, then. Of course, the key to its success was to get the local authorities to sign the charter, and more so, to set it into action. By signing the charter, local governments obligate themselves to pursue the objective of gender justice in all fields of their responsibility and in cooperation with organizations and stakeholders of civil society in their community. Up to today, it is more than 1,900 local governments that signed the charter. So I'm not sure whether the Euro-Mediterranean signatures are in this figures too. Maybe it might be even more. Nice. Since 2006, then the world has changed tremendously. Then the possible dimensions of digitalization were not really seen yet. And we seriously have to ask, Is this development used in favor of more gender equality? I doubt it. Seeing young women in the majority among the influencers, young men dominating the startup world in this new virtual world. Seeing a vast increase in cyber violence, seeing that the new chances for work in home office are at the same time high risk for women to be pushed aside from a work career and reloaded responsibility for care, family, and homework. Of course, I also see the chances that digitalization carries for gender equality, but they have to be pushed forward by an active feminist policy. At the same time, since 2006, perceptions of gender identity have quite changed. The term of equality between men and women is being heavily criticized because it is blending out not only the dimensions of different gender identities, but other dimensions of diversity and their discrimination in society. Talking about a world that has changed, we must not forget COVID and its impact. Climate change becoming more and more threatening. The wars that are ongoing all over the world, the foremost one in focus today being the Russian invasion in Ukraine, and catastrophes, catastrophes like the terrible earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Having all that in mind, is this the right time to talk about gender equality? Yes, it is. It is more so than ever. Women are the victims of crisis, catastrophe, and war, but they are the minority in decision-making positions. They are almost not represented in crisis management and peace negotiations. But they are also the ones to cope with the consequences, like keep up family life. They are also minority when it comes to planning. This needs to be changed. The CEMR, Standing Committee for Equality, has developed amendments to the up to now existing charter in order to cope with the above described changes and scenarios. And we are eager to promote this revised charter and be in discussion with local and regional representatives and NGOs. The exchange and cooperation between cities and regions is, in our eyes, crucial on the path to gender justice. So let's do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Claudia. So I'm not sure if we have Ms. Aisata MD Camara in the room already? Not yet. Okay, so then I think we shall not waste time. We can go ahead and get started with our first panel this morning. And we're going to be looking at implementing our regional charters, where we are today. And we'll present how the situation is different in all of our different territories, the challenges that our elected representatives are facing, and the existing tools that they're rolling out to address these challenges. So first, I'd like to introduce the members of the panel before putting the first question. We're also still doing a tech troubleshooting for the presentation. We have one joining us online, and hopefully we'll sort that by the time the second panel comes. So first, I'm really honored to present Lord Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe. She's the Lord Mayor of Banjul in the Gambia. She's also president of REFELA, the African Network of Local Elected Women. Thank you for joining us today. Lord Mayor, we have Ms. Silvia Baraldi. She's a city councillor in Legnago, Italy, and vice chair of our CEMR Standing Committee for Equality. Ms. Claire Hart, welcome, vice president of the Montpellier Méditerranée Métropole. She's a delegate for international relations and European Cooperation Councillor. She's also a member of COPPEM, which is the Standing Committee for Euro-Mediterranean Local Authorities. We also have, very lucky to have with us today, Ms. Fatimetou Malick, president of the Nouakchott region, and president of UCLG Africa, and president of the UCLG Standing Committee for Gender Equality. So, with that, let's get started. My first question today for our panelists is, how can charters for equality in local life enhance the daily experience of women and girls in your territories? So I'd like to turn first to Lord Mayor Lowe to respond briefly to this in her experience, and then we'll turn to another panelist.
Thank you very much. For the interest of time, let me just go ahead and say all protocols respectfully observed. As the moderator said, I am the president of the locally elected Women's Network of Africa, known as the French acronym REFELA. I am the vice president of the Global Parliament of Mayors and also the vice chair of the United Democratic Party. That is my party back home and the biggest opposition party. Ladies and gentlemen, one may ask, why am I putting out all this introduction? The answer is simple. This is because I want women and youths to see and understand that they need to fight their way through. It is indeed possible. The inequality is just too much, and I am well aware that I can't fight alone. It requires a collective struggle for us as women to win. Gender equality and women empowerment strategies are critical in every country for reducing poverty levels and social injustice among women and men and improving health standards, etc. Thus, achieving gender equality must be regarded as the attainment of human rights important for sustainable development. Again, please allow me just to skip, because of the interest of time, okay, this goal is cross-cutting, and it is my firm belief that if this goal is achieved by all the countries, almost all the other goals will definitely be achieved through this one goal. At the national level, several countries are mainstreaming gender equality and women empowerment into their development efforts, and this is done through long-term development plans. It should be noted that today cities are forging the path to gender justice. This can be seen through the Charter for Gender Equality that was elaborated through the joint effort of the United Cities and Local Government of Africa, the Council for European Municipalities and Regions, and PLATFORMA, with support from other partner organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, in Africa in particular, many women are still excluded from any form of economic empowerment. Many countries do not provide grants or microfinance to empower women, despite the fact that they are the breadbasket of the economy. When it comes to political leadership, especially at the local level, they fought tooth and nail, and in most cases, they lost, despite the fact that the responsibilities transferred to local governments are similar to those traditional household responsibilities that women exercise every day to care for their homes. Distinguished colleagues, here present, ladies and gentlemen, we're encouraging all countries of Africa to sign up to this charter to ensure its effective implementation. And in order to make progress, we need to sensitize all local governments in Africa. Adherence to the charter is a must, especially for REFELA members, and it is important to effectively implement and the recommendations. REFELA's Secretariat is working very hard to ensure this is done. However, and I put emphasis on the however, to create visibility and ownership, there is the need for funding, as Africa is a big continent with all countries implementing decentralization. Therefore, to reach all the local governments and sensitize them is an enormous task. I am therefore calling on the international community and development partners to please support REFELA Africa to disseminate the charter and to sensitize local and regional governments of Africa on the important provisions therein in order for them to adhere to it. And I want to say that I am lucky that I have the Vice President and indeed my President, indeed the President here. I am sitting right in the middle of them. And I am sure REFELA members and the Secretariat, their President, I'm sure we're going to be very lucky to have this funding to at least go out in our numbers to sensitize local governments in Africa so that the charter will be understood. We just don't want to just have the charter in the drawers, be dusted. We want women to understand why we come up with this charter. This is a charter that we have made a lot of efforts to bring up. But without funding, there is no way that we can implement anything. On that note, once again, I want to thank everyone, and again want to recognize my dear sister there, Emil from the UCLG wall, who is always empowering women. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's right on what you said about the need for funding and to transfer these great tools that we have into real action on the ground. So great call for funding and support from the international community. I come now to Ms. Silvia Baraldi. I'll give you the floor to answer a bit the same question, but from your perspective, coming from Europe and from the north of Italy. Please, Silvia.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here today with these strong and beautiful women. To talk about the Charter is a topic that is very close to my heart and that I believe in very much. We live in a world that needs concreteness, positive models, and clear, solid guidelines. It is essential that citizens have strong points of reference and that administrations can have tools to achieve important objectives of sustainability and gender equality. Beyond being a way to take a public stand in defense of human rights, Local Equality Charter provide a guiding framework. They are a tool to prepare and deliver action to promote gender equality and also drive a holistic consideration of the gender dimension in local policymaking. I can speak about the experience with the European Charter for Local Equality, which is still current because equality between people, equality between men and women, equal opportunities for all have not been fully achieved anywhere in the world, not even in those considered avant-garde, emancipated with unviable statistics. Instead, every crisis, including the war on Ukraine and the pandemic, has widened inequalities all of them. To show concretely how we can offer support to girls and women, starting with the most vulnerable, I'd like to share about the Legnago Donna, the anti-violence desk that we have in my municipality of Legnago in the north of Italy. It's a service that provides free and confidential counseling to women who are victims of domestic violence. The help desk provides psychological and legal support to women who experience psychological, physical, sexual, economic violence. And the desk operates in a network with all the relevant institutions and with the police force, and is open every day with a dedicated number. This example illustrates just one way in which the decision we make and the action we found touch the lives of the women of every age. Even without adding additional budget, there are small, smart action we can take that can have big results. We local politicians are faced with enormous problem and very few resources every day. But to the issue of gender equality, cities and regions can really do a lot. Projects to spread gender culture involving local students in meeting, debates, projects for female entrepreneurship, anti-violence center like the Legnago Donna, moments of awareness, nurseries, schools. This project must be rewarded and supported, but above all known and networking together. The Charter can unite the cities of Europe in a great and ambitious goal. Equality could be lived, trained, cultivated. Fairer and more equal cities are cities in which everyone lives better. This is why it is necessary to foster a gender-sensitive culture. Charters like ours can generate momentum and provide the foundation for movement that defends our shared values of gender equality, non-discrimination, and the protection of fundamental rights. Depending on the country, and local governments in Europe are responsible for education, budgeting, public services like childcare, healthcare, and clinics. That is one of the reasons I felt driven during chair of the CEMR Standing Committee for Equality to work on the update and the expansion of the European Charter. And we write 9 new articles, cover and expand on the following topics: the sustainable development, the cyber violence, the violence against elected representatives, the intersectionality, the flexible working, the digital inclusion, the sexual and reproductive health rights, the climate change, and the gender responsive civil preponderance and disaster response. I would say that I'm very proud of the work we did together with our European colleague. It was a great undertaking and a milestone. And I deeply believe, really believe in this document, and I hope that it can be seen by as many administrations as possible. This update can bring a new wave for support and inspire a new generation of local gender champions. I want to thank to all the women and the men present here today. I want to thank the CMR, the UCLG Africa family. Together we can change the things. We can do it. Let's start now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Silvia. And yes, the work of updating our charter was quite a long process, and I think we also benefited a lot from the many years of sharing that we did with UCLG Africa and REFELA. We were able to take some of those learnings into updating our own materials. And now I'd like to turn to Ms. Claire Hart. I have a different question for you. We'd like to know, in your opinion, which are the main constraints that mayors and councillors might face when trying to promote gender equality in their territory? So please let us know what's been your experience and any suggestions you have to overcome.
Thanks very much, Jamie. Hello to everybody. It's a real joy for me to be here with you today from the south of France, the sunny south of France, to the sunny city of New London. Yes, indeed, that's a very important question. And I think I would start off by saying that probably the number one thing that jumps out and hits us very strongly here is the time factor. We've been talking long and hard on this subject for a very, very long time, and we realize today that we have to go faster. The World Economic Forum has said very clearly that the equality will only be real in the world by 2186 if we carry on at the current speed. I don't think that that is acceptable to any of us here, wherever we come from in the world. So that's the first thing to be said. And secondly, I would like to say that probably another one of the factors that we are having to deal with, and I'm happy to see there's a lot of men here today, a lot of lovely women, but men too. We can't do this without the men, because whether we like it or not, we still have decision makers who are, for a majority, men throughout the world. So we've got to get the men on board, and this is absolutely essential. I would say that today, Jamie's question regarding constraints, we have three principal constraints. The first one is that we are still up against glass ceilings. Glass ceilings, glass floors, glass elevators, whatever you want to call them, they're still there. And this, for us, is still a major issue. Be we in Europe, or be we on the other side of the Mediterranean, Africa, or in different parts of the world, we're still up against the fact that women have extremely high levels of education, generally tend to get better marks at school. Sorry to the guys, but it's the truth. This has been proved many, many times. But when it comes to getting the top jobs, the men get in there before we do. That's glass ceiling. And it's something we have to really work on together. The second factor is the gender pay gap. Now, honestly, in France, in Europe, we still have 23% as an average of a pay gap between men and women doing exactly the same job, and sometimes women putting in even more hours. That's not normal. And this, again, is something that we have to continue working on, all of us in our own way. And I'd say the third point is that of gender occupational factors. Now, we have this segregation, we could use the word segregation in terms of occupations, and it was mentioned by Claudia at the outset. We obviously today have tech industries, science, mathematics, where we're finding men taking the main jobs, and particularly in the high-tech sector, in the startup sector. And this is absolutely abnormal, because we do have women who are doing these trainings today. Obviously, all of us have to get out and mentor, and this is the kind of thing that we're doing in Europe, getting women who are working as engineers or scientists to get out into the schools and say to the girls, empower yourselves, girls, go into this sector, you will enjoy yourselves, and you'll have a happy career. So 3 areas that we're still working on, masses to be said, and obviously in Europe we're knuckling down and getting on with it, just as you are in Africa and elsewhere. And we are working to make this better. But the only way we can do it is more investment. Investment is key, and this was said before from the African perspective. More investment, we have to bring about changes in law and policies. This is going to be vital, really essential. We need more and more, I would say, determined shifts to social norms. Discrimination is still present. Sexism is still out there too, so we have to work on that. And we require, I would like to use the word audacity, more audacity to change the power relations between women and men. And more than anything else, we need to get out there and almost physically break down those glass ceilings, break down the glass walls, and accelerate things. And this is something that we're doing very decisively in Europe today, because we do not want to accept that 2186 be the year for equality. So all together, we're going to be working on accelerating the change. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Claire. You really hit on a lot of true points, and I think you inspired me, that's for sure. Thank you. And we have another question for our panelists today. So I'm going to turn actually now to Ms. Fatimetou Abdelmali to ask a bit, what are the tools that you consider complementary to advancing gender justice in your territory, in your daily local actions? So we're going to hear from Madame la Présidente. And after you've shared with us a bit your experience on the actions that make a difference, I was hoping we could turn also to Lord Mayor Lowe to share about how she uses social media actually to promote gender equality and reach out to her constituents.
D'abord, je vais parler français puisque la France. L'Afrique va parler français puisque la France. Alors, d'abord, je voudrais souhaiter bonne fête à toutes les femmes qui sont là, les femmes. Je vais dire aussi que notre combat ne sera pas gagné tant qu'on n'a pas embarqué les hommes avec nous, parce que ce n'est pas le combat des femmes, c'est le combat de tout le monde. C'est un combat pour la société, c'est un combat pour le développement. Donc il faut que les hommes soient là, pour nous accompagner dans ce combat. Je vais aussi remercier les co-organisateurs de cette session, le CCRE, PLATFORMA, et bien sûr CSW Afrique, vers le REFELA. Il faut rappeler que ce jeudi Afrique, c'était le gouvernement de Cosmi d'Afrique que j'ai l'honneur de présider, regroupe plus de 16 000 collectivités territoriales, plus de 53 réseaux très structurés, donc de REFELA. Ici, le président est avec nous, un réseau extrêmement structuré et qui se veut porteur des intérêts des femmes en Afrique. Donc, notre charte qui a été récemment élaborée, adoptée, charte des collectivités territoriales pour l'égalité des genres en Afrique, a été récemment adoptée en mai 2022. Donc, elle est toute fraîche. Nous menons un combat pour justement faire adhérer un maximum de collectivités locales à cette charte qui regroupe en grande partie toutes les problématiques posées au niveau de l'Afrique en ce qui concerne les femmes. Vous savez que les constitutions des pays, les chartes des pays, tout le monde s'accorde sur la non-discrimination, sur la nécessité d'avoir l'égalité entre hommes et femmes. Mais malheureusement, sur le terrain, ce n'est pas souvent le cas. Il y a une grande discrimination en termes de mise en œuvre de ces différentes stratégies, de ces différentes chartes et de ces différentes constitutions. En Afrique, on est resté, vous savez, c'est le continent où le poids traditionnel est toujours très important, très important. Ce qui laisse dire que la femme est souvent à la traîne, même si le dividende démographique est très important. Il représente parfois 51 ou 52% de la population. Donc, sa présence en termes de démographie est très importante. Mais elle est toujours restée à la traîne, parce qu'elle est restée analphabète, elle est restée très peu employée, elle n'est pas autonome, elle est très peu présente dans le foncier, elle ne gère que 1 à 2% du foncier, au moment où elle contribue très significativement dans la ration alimentaire de la famille. Donc c'est la femme à 1000 bras. On la qualifie la femme à 1000 bras parce qu'elle fait beaucoup de choses, parmi lesquelles des missions qui sont extrêmement nobles, l'éducation des enfants, parce que c'est des générations, c'est l'alternative. C'est une mission très noble, mais pour laquelle elle n'est pas souvent aidée malheureusement, la femme en Afrique. Donc elles sont restées à l'alphabet, très peu propriétaires, très peu employeurs, et en dépit de ça, elles sont nombreuses, elles ont une capacité d'écoute, elles sont très, très mobiles, Par exemple, pendant les campagnes, c'est elle qui mobilise, c'est elle qui anime, c'est elle qui vote en plus. Donc, ce n'est pas quantifié tout ça. Elles sont restées très souvent très nombreuses dans les formels. Parce qu'elles trouvent refuge que dans le secteur informel. Parfois en Afrique, à 70% de la population femmes sont restées dans le secteur informel. Donc, c'est un secteur très précaire pour les femmes, eu égard à salaire, la précarité des salaires, endémique des salaires. Donc, elles sont restées avec pas mal de soucis au niveau de nos territoires. Donc, nous sommes appelés en tant qu'élus locaux, j'allais dire en tant qu'élus local, à accompagner les femmes dans cette dynamique, à mettre en place des stratégies, des politiques locales qui s'intéressent justement aux problèmes des femmes pour pouvoir réduire autant que faire se peut les inégalités qui existent au niveau des territoires. Parce que ce n'est qu'au territoire qu'on pourra résoudre le problème. Parce qu'une fois de plus, il ne dira jamais assez. Au niveau national, des stratégies, des programmes qui sont élaborés, mais la mise en œuvre va se faire au niveau du territoire. Donc c'est à nous, en tant qu'élus locaux, en tant qu'élus local, j'allais dire, de voir justement ces problèmes de près et de pouvoir rassembler un maximum d'outils pour que ces femmes, pour que les inégalités soient réduites. Je veux dire par là, en matière d'éducation, en matière de religion, parce qu'on a souvent interprété la religion aussi dans nos pays, malheureusement. On a souvent utilisé la religion contre les femmes, alors que dans certains cas, ce n'est pas vrai, c'est une façon d'interpréter la religion. C'est injuste, il faut qu'on se lève en tant que femme pour dénoncer cette injustice. Parfois, au niveau de l'éducation, les femmes elles-mêmes contribuent à cette discrimination, parce qu'au niveau de la base, des jeunes, des enfants, des femmes, parfois nous disent aux jeunes filles, non, vous ne pouvez pas faire ça, vous ne pouvez pas jouer au ballon, c'est les garçons qui doivent le faire. C'est la femme elle-même qui contribue à cette discrimination à la base. Donc on devrait, nous, en tant que femmes, justement, être éveillés et un peu sur soi à ce comportement, à ces pratiques qui sont à l'endroit, justement, qui sont à l'origine de la discrimination au niveau de la base. Au niveau d'éducation, toujours, parce qu'on a tendance à, dans certains de nos pays, en Afrique particulièrement, les infractions scolaires ne sont pas suffisamment nombreuses. Par exemple, si les filles atteignent le collège, elles sont obligées de migrer vers une autre ville. Et souvent, la famille n'a pas envie d'aller avec la fille, parce qu'ils ne vont pas la laisser partir toute seule, et ils ne vont pas migrer avec elle. Qu'est-ce qui se passe alors? Elle arrête ses études. Ça, c'est pas normal. Donc, c'est des genres de discrimination qui sont, si vous voulez, très élémentaires, très triviales, et qui sont réels et qui sont à l'origine de tous ces problèmes. D'autres aspects aussi au niveau institutionnel, nous avons besoin justement d'institutionnaliser certains textes qui évoluent et qui sont, si vous voulez, qui aident la fois. Par exemple, je prends l'exemple des quotas. Les quotas dans certains pays pour que les femmes, il y ait une marche pour que les femmes puissent atteindre un certain degré au niveau des postes électifs, qui n'est pas souvent institutionnalisé par les textes. Ce n'est pas normal. Il faut qu'on milite pour que ça soit régulé par des textes des hommes. Bon, je peux vous raconter tout ça toute une journée. En tout cas, merci beaucoup.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Nous sommes d'accord que les quotas, ça ne résout pas tout, mais c'est une étape essentielle pour faire bouger des choses et créer les conditions pour que les femmes aient leur place à la table décisionnelle. Alors, I changed down to English again. Lord Mayor Lowe, please tell us, how are you using social media to connect with your constituents and promote gender equality? Because you are a maverick on Twitter. I feel like I can learn a lot of things from how you're working the system, and it's in line with the theme of this year's CSW67, which is how are we using technology and digital tools and digitalization to push forward our work on gender equality. Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, those that I am talking on Twitter or on my Facebook, most of them, yes, they are liking and sharing whatever I am posting, but are they coming forward? Because as a local government official, I'm sure you will understand that I am not talking to the local people in the Gambia, because most of them don't have networks or units to access the internet or Twitter. So we have to start there first, just to show you that the information that we are transmitting, or I am transmitting through the Facebook and through the Twitter, is for them to know that we are here and we need them, but not for the local people in the Gambia. We have about 1 million women in the Gambia. And I can tell you, maybe 10,000 or 15,000 or less than 100,000 to be on the safe side are using Twitter. So whom am I talking to? That I am talking to my partners. However, it still ain't evident, because we live in a global village now. You will have somebody who is living in Italy, but still have family members in the Gambia. However, if you know the setup, as the president said, in Africa, women are so unvalued. They think that we only belong to the house. And in the house also, we have a position that is called the kitchen. So this is the reality. And unless and until partners come to our aid to help us, we cannot do it. I said it in my speech that I understand the issues. I know the impact and what women are feeling in my country, but I cannot do the fight alone. And we have very few, very few women in leadership positions. So indeed, my dear colleague here said it from France, that we need men. If France understands that they need men, how about us, Africa? Because our traditional norms and our traditional and cultural norms are telling us we're not part of it. And those who are supposed to help us always tend to forget us. They only invite us when they have CSWs, when they have platforms for us to talk, but we cannot see them when we need them most. I have to give a typical example here. When we have the flooding in my country, I didn't see any partners. It was Emil sat here, that lady sitting behind, who came to my aid. If it was not her, people, the children, the girls, they will not go to school. Women will be sleeping still at the streets because everything was gone. Everything was gone. And I was there standing alone. And men were so happy to see me stand alone. You know why? Because they want to take me out of the leadership position. And they will say, stand there and face it alone. So I want to thank Emilia, UCLG World. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you a million times. If it was not you and your organization, then over 200,000 girls will not go to school. You know what they were doing? They were just standing there peeping. And she made it. And she made it. Where is Mayor? And she made it unless when they saw me going to the schools, taking care of the girls, taking them back to the schools, this was when they came and said, okay, we want to part of it. Typical African men. So thank you very much for asking me how we do it with social media. Social media cannot help us. It is you as partners that we need. We have our charter, as I said. This is the charter that can open the eyes of the African woman, but we can still do anything because we don't have the funding. And African men understands that. They know we don't have the money, so they will just say, okay, how many women in leadership? 3. Leave them. Every year they will go down until we don't have any of them. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to elections in May. I have my elections in May. And I don't have any organization that comes to my aid and said, this is the 100 t-shirts, or this is the 100 t-shirts, 200 t-shirts. Use it. No. They are all standing there. They have the money to bring me here, yes, to talk on their forums. But how about to help me with sensitization, to sensitize the women to go out, women that are more. The percentage of women voting and children are more. Help me to sensitize them, to call them to go out and vote, since we were able to register them. During the registration, I can proudly say that REFELA was on the forefront, and we managed to register more than 70,000 women that have never ever voted in the history of Gambia. But we do manage them, we do manage to vote them. So how can I bring them now to the ballot box when I don't have the funding to do so? Ladies and gentlemen, dear partners, please do help us. We need you most. We are suffering in that continent, and this is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lord Mayor, for this powerful intervention. And it's true. We need unity, the elected representatives in Africa, also here in Latin America, in the ASPAC region. We need the resources, human and financial, to make this possible, to activate, to respond in emergencies. And we're here to, of course, invite you here and support how we can. And I'm just so grateful that there's an organization like REFELA embedded into the UCLG Africa to make sure that your brothers also at your side are there to help too, along with all of us. It's a necessity that we all have to join hands and tackle together, which is actually the topic of our next panel. But before we do that, I wanted to open the floor here to take two or three questions for the panelists that you might have. We did get one question already online from the Zoom, so let me just open this hybrid style meeting. So we have a woman, Maxima Moreno from Cap Verde, who would like to ask the president of REFELA. Maxima says, we know that the African woman is a fighter and warrior and intelligent. All she needs is opportunities. And everything starts with the laws of implementation. So is REFELA thinking of doing a proposal to the African Union to make mandatory quotas for gender in parliaments and local administrations? I'll pass the microphone to you to respond to this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we are already one step ahead of that. We already contacted the African Union, and not only African Union, of course, the ECOWAS too, so that some implementations recommendations that we have for the African women can also be part of their protocols. But again, this is what I'm saying, because it's the charter that can help us to do sensitization on the ground for at least AU or ECOWAS to take us seriously. But we don't have the funding to make the sensitization. We need to make sensitization, to make noise. At least if you make noise, it is when men will take you seriously. So we have to take, we have to make a big sensitization so that our countries will know that we now mean business. And we cannot do it unless and until we have funding to do sensitization on our charter. So yes, we are in line and contact with the African Union. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So I see in the room we have two people here, so I'll come first over here. If you could just please say your name and the organization you're representing, and after that we'll have the response and the woman behind you.
Thank you so much for all the words that were shared. Very educational. My name is Carolina Allen, and I'm the president of Big Ocean Women. We're an international grassroots organization that train women in how to lead out from the very core, from like their homes, and we feel like that's at the root of so much. My question is, you talked a little bit about getting women involved in STEM and in all of the, the top tier jobs, and then coupled with trends, global trends now, incorporating, let's say, social media, we're seeing a huge uptick of women influencers influencing in like mommy blogs and different kinds of like gender stereotypical ways. And so how do we tackle that if we're trying to get women into STEM jobs? So there's like a disparity even within the developing nations, and then I would also ask, in the developed nations, and then I would also ask in the developing nations, like how do you even tackle that when literacy rates are low? And I feel like it's just light years different, our realities. We're just, in some of the developing nations, we're just literally fighting for different things. And so how do we tackle that if we're talking about like cooperation and cohesiveness when it seems like our worlds are so far apart? But we're seeing, an uptick in social media. Like we have men that are developing all of the software and hardware, and then we also have women that are influencing and having, kind of leaning towards a lot of the gender stereotypical ways that they're presenting themselves. So how do you tackle that?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. I propose maybe Claire, you could say a word or two about the STEM, and then maybe I pass to Fatimetou. Je passe après à Fatimetou pour parler peut-être du côté développement, culture et comment combler des lacunes dans les besoins.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for that question, which was very, very pertinent. I would say, and actually, it's even worse than that. I was very shocked by this kind of trend to influencers for tidying your house, house tidying, being super tidy, super clean, and women, only women doing that as well. So it's really very serious. It's becoming popular. And hyper popular, incredibly popular. So yeah, we have a real issue there, a real issue. Having said that, on the other side, we also have influencer women who are out there, warriors, leaders and fighters, and showing that women can lead and can inspire. So we've kind of got the best and the worst, if you allow me to be a bit binary. So I believe that whatever's happening, and the influencer world and the new technology is again bringing out the best and the worst of us all. I think whatever's happening, we have to just buckle down very seriously to making sure that in all of our organizations, and one of them, I come from a local government organization that has 7,000 people working in it. So we have 7,000 opportunities to make sure that everybody has equal opportunities. And that's where we need to start. Whatever we're seeing flying around out there in cyberspace, we have to absolutely make sure that at the grassroots level, if you like, we are making sure that we all do things the right way. And in local government organizations, we've got an enormous amount to do, because it's exactly the same as elsewhere. Everybody knows full well, everybody knows that in a company, in a business organization or an institution, if we have equal opportunities, things run better. We have all the proof of this. We have facts and figures to show this, but we still don't do it. And when we arrived 3 years ago in our municipal and metropolitan council, we had women in 10% of management roles. 10%. 90% were men. That's a disgrace. We're in France. So although you're talking about the differences, it's unbelievably outrageous to think. So we're setting up solid ways of solving this, solid ways of bringing women up, and just simply saying, and if you like to call it a quota, we could do, but saying we cannot accept anymore to have men in 90% of jobs. So by the end of a 6-year mandate, we have to be 50-50, and that's what we're doing. So it's really, we have to be voluntary, we have to be audacious, and we have to be strong about that. And just want to make a point. I'm going to talk later on about the COPPEM, that we're a very proud member of as a metropolitan council. And the COPPEM is a Euromed network. I won't say more because I will speak on the second panel, but what I will say is that we have 2 mayors here from African countries, and in the COPPEM we have many Mediterranean bank countries with women mayors. Many, many more than we are seeing in our European cities, where we still don't have that many women mayors of big cities. The mayor of Tunis is a woman. The mayor of Marrakesh is a woman. The mayor of Rabat is a woman, etc., etc. I could go on a long time. So let's be careful about stereotyping too much, both sides of the Mediterranean, for example, and extend that down to Africa as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Indeed, a study we did a few years ago showed that only 15% of mayors in Europe are women. Only 15%. But we're redoing that study soon. Hopefully the numbers have gone up. Madame la Présidente, si vous voulez parler 2 petites minutes pour parler de la coopération. Ensuite, on va prendre une question de là et une question d'Emilia, et puis on va changer de format. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Il faut quand même rappeler que la section Afrique, CGD Afrique est la section de CGD Monde, où je préside la commission genre, et à ce titre, je suis coprésidente de CGD Monde. Alors, moi, j'aimerais bien rebondir sur deux aspects. L'aspect relatif à l'implication des femmes dans des postes scientifiques, scientifiques. Alors, on a souvent tendance à féminiser la profession des femmes. Elles sont léguées au second rang, secrétaire, sage-femme, femme de ménage, etc. Même si c'est un homme, on dit toujours sage-femme. Même si c'est un homme qui fait le boulot, on va toujours dire sage-femme. Alors qu'en réalité, les femmes, elles ont des aptitudes, même si à l'origine, elles ont des petits handicaps, notamment celles que j'ai évoquées tout à l'heure. Donc, leurs études sont limitées parce qu'elles ne peuvent pas migrer, etc. Dans d'autres villes où il y a des infrastructures scolaires qui nécessitent qu'elles puissent atteindre le niveau académique. Mais elle n'empêche qu'elles sont ingénieures, elles sont médecins, elles ont tous les postes, même si en Afrique c'est toujours en deçà de ce qu'on pense. Mais l'essentiel est qu'il y ait une égalité parfaite dans les chances. Maintenant, chacun aura sa chance, comme on dit, mais si on n'a pas d'égalité au même départ, si on n'est pas sur la même ligne de départ, il y a toujours un problème. Donc, même si on est sur la même ligne de départ, il y a toujours sur le chemin, il y a des obstacles. Et d'autres peuvent sauter, et nous, on ne peut pas sauter, malheureusement. Donc là aussi, il faut enlever ces obstacles. Et là, je vais dire par là qu'au niveau des collectivités locales, encore une fois, il faut le dire, c'est là où on peut résoudre vraiment le problème. Parce que c'est un problème de proximité, c'est un problème qui touche le quotidien des femmes. Donc nous, en tant que collectivité locale, collectivité territoriale, nous pouvons élaborer des politiques territoriales, des politiques de développement qui vont à l'endroit, justement, des femmes et qui vont faire bénéficier ces femmes pour alléger notamment les tâches domestiques, par exemple. On parle de la femme rurale, la pauvre. Il faut voir comment elle fait la corvée d'eau, comment elle amène l'eau de quelques kilomètres, en mettant le seau sur le dos, sur la tête. Alors qu'elle a un enfant sur le dos, et puis elle va, c'est la femme au milieu bras. Donc il faut nécessairement qu'on puisse accompagner ces femmes, mettre en place des mécanismes qui peuvent prendre en charge certaines tâches, et puis permettre aux femmes de vaquer à d'autres occupations sans ça peut les aider. Il faut aussi, comme j'avais dit tout à l'heure, le secteur informel, il faut formaliser certains mécanismes, certains secteurs pour que les femmes puissent adhérer, parce que ce qu'elles font comme activité n'est pas injecté dans les flux économiques, malheureusement. Ce n'est pas valorisé, alors qu'elles sont très importantes, notamment en Afrique, parce que dans le cadre de la transformation des produits locaux, elles ont un talent. Elles sont innovantes, je peux dire. Elles sont innovantes. Donc, c'est des choses qu'il faut repérer à chaque fois pour pouvoir les accompagner, les aider, et bien sûr, l'appui des partenaires est souhaité, mais aussi les gouvernements centraux. Ils ont intérêt justement à accompagner les femmes dans ces différentes démarches, parce que ça, encore une fois, ça va aider au développement, au bien-être de la société. Ce n'est pas pour les femmes seulement, c'est pour tout le monde. Voilà, merci.
Merci beaucoup, madame. Ça me fait penser à nos partenaires Cities Alliance, qui travaillent énormément sur les femmes dans l'économie informelle. Et ils ont publié récemment un témoignage des femmes en Ukraine, où il y avait à peu près 72% des femmes, non, peut-être 62, de femmes qui les bombardements et tout ça, elles n'ont plus de place pour exercer leur travail et gagner leur vie et prendre soin de leurs proches. Alors, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass you the mic. Please introduce yourself and your question. If you have a certain panelist you'd like to direct it to, then I'll actually let Emilia ask her question, and then we'll turn with both to the panel. Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. Yes. My name is Sammy. I am working with the promoting organization. I am representing promoting women, people seeking the tools and the funds to promote gender equality in my country, because we have the same issues in Cambodia. I hope we all, women all around the world, will work together to accomplish the gender equality issues. So my question is this, it caught my attention, is about the culture and religions, as why men tend to be overpowered, the women taking our belief, taking our the fight in our spirits, meaning that we have to bow down to our husband and bow down to our kids, being tied down to a household where our critical thinking, your education, know your future is controlled by a man. Pretty much like what I'm saying is that my question is, how do you perceive that to starting with the new generation, especially in the suburb, in the farm, where they are away from the city, or they haven't been to school, where traditional are really, really so tight and it's so strict that you have no saying, or they will, parents know, your husband will beat you for going against it. So how do we perceive this going, women around the world who have similar issues in Cambodia? Yes. Anyone could answer.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. So here, Emilia, please, for you, and then we'll go back to the panel.
Well, thank you very much. I am Emilia Sai, the Secretary General of United Cities and Local Governments, a federation of federations that gathers all of these brilliant women here today. So I'm really grateful to be with you. Part of what I wanted to say has already been picked up by the elected representative from Marseille, and I'm sure she will continue talking about COPPEM about it. This dichotomy of global north versus global south and the advancement of women is a mirage. It's not there. And if you look at the percentage of women that are actually in leadership position in the global south, is higher than right now in the global north. The global north is declining, the global south is augmenting, and there is a very good reason for that. And the reason is that actually the system has seen the advancements in the global north and they are blocking it. And when they see that in the global south, they will block it there as well. So it is up to us to make sure that that doesn't happen. And here comes the question that I want to ask to the panel. How do we improve, and it's partially something that the president of REFELA was addressing, how do we improve the relationship between civil society and government, all spheres of government, to ensure that gender equality is a reality? The lack of trust in the institutions is really affecting also the increase in equality, because very good female candidates are not being supported because of the lack of trust of the youth in politics in general. So how do we improve this partnership with civil society that is so critical? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emilia. Okay, so I'm coming back now for the difficult part, because we do have a second panel. So Claudia, I'd like to invite you, if you'd like to respond to one or either of the questions. And then I'm not sure who would like to address the question raised by our colleague from Cambodia, but you can go ahead and start.
Okay. Thank you. Well, the question Emilia put really intrigued me very much. One is, talking about myself, I've been part of a Turkish family for about almost 50 years. And I've been involved in women's studies concerning Germany and Turkey. And what I learned then was that look at the universities, look at politics, you have much more women in Turkey in these responsible positions than you have in Germany. So, so much for this prejudice. Yes, coming to the question of why is it so? Oh, well, you said why is this so? Because in the global north, it has become known that women really change something when they come to power. So you better try to not let them get further. We experienced this on a very, very concrete level when we tried, or not tried, when we actually implemented the Gender Action Plan according to the Charter. Because in my community in Mannheim, yes, we agreed. Everybody agreed to the Gender Action Plan and applauded to the Gender Action Plan. But what happened? There was no money for it. So the responsible woman in the Mannheim municipality had to fight very hard and had to collect the women in politics, women in NGOs, to get into action and to force the Mannheim municipality to give money to get the Gender Action Plan actually into work. So it's just what you said. We have to get together with NGOs, with women in politics in all positions, from the lowest to the highest, in order to really get things moving in the global north. And I'm talking also about my own city.
That's right. The backlash is real. I mean, anybody who's sitting here today knows it. Lord Mayor, if you could also speak just one moment to respond to the questions, and Claire will say something, and then we're going to invite our next panelists up. Thank you so much.
From my dear sister from Cambodia, I think the love is mutual. And what I want to say is the mindset. Again, I don't know how, it's difficult. Bob Marley says, who feels it knows it. So if my dear sister here sitting beside me will not be able to understand from where the lady from Cambodia is coming from. So what I want to say is, unless and until we have funding to make a radical, and I mean a radical sensitization, civil sensitization to the population, we cannot change anything. For me, it will just be like the other protocols that we have ratified in Africa, the Maputo Protocol, etc. Since we came from Beijing 28 years ago, and we are still, on my opinion, those protocols are not ratified at all. They are ratified, but they are not implemented. So unless and until in Africa we have enough funding for sensitization, so that women that are in the rural areas understand that we are also part of the national cake, we cannot change anything. We can just be coming here. Every time I will come here and later I'll go for shopping and go back home, period. That's it. Because I cannot do anything. I cannot do it alone. I need to have people who have the zeal, who have women empowerment in their hearts, who mean business, to say, okay, now we are ready and we want you to hit the roads. We want women to understand that they should be empowered, and then you will see what will happen. Let it start from Gambia, and then you will see.
Thank you so much, Silvia. Claire, really just one sentence.
No, just a very quick point that I wanted to make to Amelia. Pleasure to see you here, Amelia. You're absolutely right. There is a real rejection of politicians, political processes, there's a lack of trust. And we're seeing it in electoral results, which is dangerous because it's bringing in parties and tendencies which are very regressive. So that is a real subject. And I would like to say that I find that in the kind of groups and networks that we're building, and I'll take the case of COPPEM, the way of bringing together local, regional governments, but also personalities, academic, scientific, cultural personalities, people from the arts world, and getting them all working together and building projects together, I think that's the way forward. And we're not there yet, but I think we're on the right road if we do things that way. And I think that this idea of COPPEM, of really joining, uniting forces, is the way to go.
Thank you so much. So with that, that concludes our first panel. I'd like to warmly thank everyone for coming and participating today. We also have some gifts. We're exchanging our different charters. And those of you in the audience, you'll see on the back table, we have all of our respective charters.
Can you just allow me to officially hand my charter to the President and the Vice President?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Please. Right now?
Yes.
Okay. And then
the charter, please.
The charters?
We want to make a special.
Of course.
I want to hand over you this. I'm putting the lives of African women in your hands. Wow. Yes. Yes. Can you give me this, please? The mic, please. The mic. I, Malick Lowe, the Lord Mayor of Banjul and the President of REFELA, hereby handing the life of African women to the President of the European Regional Government, CEMR. Dr. Diego.
Do we give you the lives of European women in our charter as well? Because we're fighting too, huh?
Yeah.
And this is the European Charter that is in our, for you and for all the women. Yeah.
Wow.
For all the,
this one is
for all the women to make something different and very important for the women. All the charter, sister charter together. Thank you.
Thank you all. So please, I ask Claudia and Fatimetou to stay on the panel, but big round of applause for our amazing panel and the amazing audience. Thank you for your questions, your engagement, and bringing this amazing energy this morning to the room. So I'll invite the other participants to take a seat. Emil, please come on up. We have a gentleman joining our panel, and Hervé, if you can activate on the Zoom, Hilda's camera as a speaker. If not, I can come and try. So we have one person who'll be joining us today from Uganda via Zoom. Unfortunately, she didn't make it here to New York, but she's online. Yes, we're just going to get her set up. Get our new panelists up here. Okay, so we're running out of time. I'm a little bit nervous, but this will be a lightning strike panel. Let's call it a lightning strike panel. So the theme of this is actually moving forward. After everything we've discussed today, how do we get that support? Who can we call on to take action to make sure that our charters are more than just nice words or, paperweights that sit in the desk collecting dust? So I'd like to introduce, we have Ms. Hilda Mate Kusinja. She's the mayor of Hima Town in Uganda. She's joining via Zoom. And the vice president of the young elected local officers of UCLG Africa. We also have Mr. Emil Broberg. He's a regional councillor from Östergötland in Sweden. He's also a member of our standing committee and served as chair and vice chair some years ago. I'm sorry. Do what you want. It's fine. So once we can get Hilda, you don't see her on panelists. Just gonna stop the screen share. So actually, what we wanted to ask to her was, in terms of gender equality, Ah, it's because that computer's not connected to this one. Okay. So we're going to hear from her in audio only. But the question is, what's the notion of gender equality among the young people in her constituency? And she's going to share a bit about the strategies that she's using to address their specific needs in terms of gender equality. Then we'll turn to Claudia and Emil to hear their inputs on the similar issue. So let me come over here. This is very artisanal setup here. I actually don't see all that. Yeah, Fatima Hilda is not connected. Okay, while we're waiting for Hilda to get reconnected, I'll turn to Dr. Claudia Schoening-Callender. Instead of looking at what is the notion of gender amongst the youth, maybe she can share a bit with us about the importance of intergenerational dialogue and solidarity to enhance gender equality.
Well, thank you. I think I wouldn't also be the person to talk about what gender equality means for the young people, because I'm very glad that there are young people here in the room, and to be very honest about it, it is a question that Jamie gave me. It is not a topic that I'm especially working on. But of course, as a local politician, I'm also and always involved in this question. And so I just have some points I want to make that I find from my own practical political work that I find important to be regarded. And one is to start with, I think, is to promote young people's engagement in politics. Promote it by different ways and by different tools. We have been talking about the Charter a lot, for example, and in Equality Action Plan in our city, we have a number of projects. And for us, it was very, very important to have in the line of these projects concerning young women, concerning elder women, concerning women of all kinds, and the dialogue and solidarity between them. And of course, especially the question of how to get young women to get over this glass ceiling or glass bottom or whatsoever. And there was one example. There's one project called Wiki Girls. So there's Wikipedia. I suppose you all know it. And when you look at who produces the knowledge that we all use all over the world by Wikipedia, then we find out that more than 90% of the knowledge that is put down there is put down by men. And so, of course, knowledge is always produced on the grounds of what your own experience and what your own learning is. And I think we agree all that still today, the experience and the knowledge of men in this world is different from that of women. And so it is very, very important to enforce the young women, or to encourage young women to get into this. This is what we do, for example, with Wiki Girls. Another very important point in terms of solidarity is to stay in touch with different groups. I think we should be aware of the fact that feminist movement all over the world, and even in one locality, is not unique. There's very, very different approaches. And of course, among young women, there's different approaches than among women that have been in women's movement for the last 40 or 50 years. And so I don't think it is necessary to come to always the exact same conclusions, but it is necessary to listen to each other. It is necessary to respect each other's opinion and stand, and maybe the best would be to learn from each other. And a third point I would make is I see 3 conditions necessary for this intergenerational solidarity, but not only for that, on a local level. First, what we all need, and what women especially need, is space. Space for themselves, but also space for exchange. I think space is a very, very important thing for local life, and especially for women in local life. So shared space, separate space, both I think is necessary. Second is, well, it has been pointed out so many times, money. And the third, last but not least, is the absence of violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I feel really terrible for rushing. I got the sign from outside with the 10 minutes left. So we're going to adapt. You know, that's the great thing about local leaders. They're adaptable and used to high pressure. So I turn now to our colleague, Emil Broberg, who's going to share a little bit about the importance of working with men and boys, especially in this environment. We were talking about influencers earlier, where we see these groups of incels and boys being radicalized in sexism and misogyny, and also backlash from political parties. So let's see what Emil has to say about all this.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here. This is, I guess, the backlash that we're seeing is a result of a women's movement all around the world that has pushed the demands on gender equality, and at every time when power gets challenged, you will meet the pushback. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that the structures of the world are organizing to push back women's demands for equal rights and equal and gender equality. That's not surprising. But we have to do, what we need to do is push back the pushback, of course. And one important thing to achieve that, and to achieve a gender equal society, is to include men in the fight for gender equality. Because gender equality is in the basis is a need of redistribution of power. It's a need of redistribution of resources, and that means that men are feeling threatened. It means that we need to give more resources to women, more power to women. But we also have to see that this isn't a threat to men. This is a possibility to build a better society. A society that gives men, what we can see is that in gender equal societies, men has better health. The society is more secure, it's less violent. And I couldn't think of a better place to live in a society where my health is better, it's less violent, and I feel more secure. And I know that my brothers and sisters are having the same opportunity to live good lives. That's what this is all about. It's quite basic. And we have to see that, and we have to include men. And I know the time is short here, and we really need to make this statement really short. But we have to include men and see this, that this is the only way to go forward. I guess I give the word back to Jamie. But that is, when you return from this conference, have that with you, and have the discussion how to make men more come in this struggle together with you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Emil. So what we're going to do, they keep holding up the signs. Everyone will have 1 minute, each one left on the panel. Madame Presidente Fatimetou, you will have 1 minute to call to action on who you may wish. Claudia as well, your call to action. And Claire, 1 minute for your call to action to end us on a really powerful, action-oriented note. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. 1 minute for a call to action. I just want to say, first of all, that representing the COPPEM Charter, I did want to say a few words, but I will zoom in on something very specific to COPPEM, which is the Euro-Mediterranean region. One of the points in our charter is the question of women in the resolution of conflict. You know that the Euro-Med region is sadly very conflictual. And we know, we are absolutely convinced, we have the proof of this, that when we have women involved in conflict resolution, things work much better, they are much more efficient, and we find solutions to conflicts with women. Sadly, in our conflict-ridden areas, we have not allowed women to come in, we have not allowed women to get involved in the conflict resolution process. My call for action is, with COPPEM and with all of us here today, that we allow women to become mediators and we bring women into conflict resolution. Only in this way will we make our world a better and safer place. Thank you.
I fully endorse that call to action. And before I give the second to last word to Madame, don't forget, if you have interpretation equipment, please put it on the back table before you leave. Don't take it with you by accident. Just make sure to put it there or else we'll be in big trouble. So, Madame la Présidente, 1 minute pour un appel à l'action, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, merci. Alors, il faut quand même rappeler que le continent africain est un continent très jeune. Donc, plus de 300 millions d'habitants sont des jeunes. C'est un peu l'équivalent de la population des États-Unis d'Amérique. Donc, alors, les jeunes, dans certains pays, on est arrivé même à avoir plus de 60% de la population comme étant jeunes. Malheureusement, ces jeunes sont frappés par le chômage et c'est les meilleurs candidats à l'immigration, versés dans le terrorisme, versés dans la délinquance. Donc, il faut pouvoir mettre en place des stratégies pour contenir ces jeunes. Et au niveau de nos pays, nous n'avons pas trouvé mieux que la formation professionnelle pour contenir ces jeunes et pour pouvoir les humaniser. Il faut dire aussi que dans le cadre des conflits, vous savez, en Afrique, nous sommes organisés en tribus, en communautés, et les femmes ont un rôle extrêmement important parce qu'elles servent de tissage entre ces différentes tribus, ces différentes communautés. Donc, elles ont un rôle prépondérant, j'allais dire même déterminant dans la résolution des conflits. Donc, elles doivent être positionnées dans tous les dispositifs de médiation dans les conflits au niveau de l'Afrique. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Madame. Et le dernier mot, je vais donner à notre présidente, our president of the standing committee, Claudia, for our last call to action, and 1 minute, because they're going to chase us out of here, and then my colleague Julia from UCLG has a quick announcement about other events that our family of local governments are organizing this week that might be of interest to you. Thank you, Claudia.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. And in the paper, you asked for a statement from me, especially directed at political parties. So here is four calls to action. One is we need quota for election lists on local and regional level, quota for women and men. We need to transport gender issues about it. It's just gender and to get gender equality into action. Third, we need to offer platforms for discussions on all levels. And fourth, last not least, we have, as activists, as politicians, we have to prove that gender justice is justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.